You can see the nose because we have the wide breath, heavy breath, because we can see the heavy breath that shows the camel is not happy. But we can see the other man here is cutting the fur, cutting the hair. So we want to be as quickly as possible to end the suffering of the camel. Normally, we see that to cut the hair, cut the fur, it takes 2 to 3 men to jointly cut the hair. Some of the people, they take from the head till the body part, and some approach from the body, and some of the women here, they to gather the fur and to put it into the bag. So could you introduce about the camels here? What are the environment for the camels and about their characters? Some of the tourists, they have visited the tourist scenes, and the tourists may have ride on the camels. So could you introduce about your camel? What are their characters? So our camel here is more mild and more nice. So we have a very good environment for the upgrowing of the camels. And in our county, we have about 20,000 camels, with the largest number in the Xinjiang Autonomous Region. And for these camels, they have a normal environment in the Gobi Desert, and for the other inhabited other places for them to live in. We say that in our county, we have various places near the desert, which is also suitable for the camel to grow up in. Could you introduce about what are the techniques and skills needed for cutting the hair and the fur? So the man need to be very good at using the scissors. So you can see the hair, the fur, it is of good quality. With deep processing, we can knit it into, say, the blanket, rugs, or the jackets. And we may notice another feature, because some of the fur near to the skin, these are more smooth. So we talk about the underwear hair, undercoat hair. It is more insulating and more smooth. For this undercoat hair, we talk about, for 1 kilometer, the price is more than 100 RMB. So now we have this camel who is in our control, and from other place we can see the man trying to trap and control the camel. We can visit and see the scene. Now you can see that for the camel, they are not that obedient. As compared to the horses, they are not that obedient. So we can see the brother in a long suit. He is trying to control the camel. He used the rope for one time to control the camel, and the camel is not following the orders. It takes 2 men to control the camel. Now the rope is controlling the camel, and we need to keep the distance between us and the camel, because if we are so close to the camel may kick the person. And from my perspective, we can see the camel looks very angry, and its leg is kicking because he's trying to get rid of the control on the grassland to cut the camel's fur. It is the competition between man and the animal. But this competition, this race will never hurt the camel itself. And the camel, for them to live on the grassland for such a good life, it takes the effort and caring for the man here. So now we see that some of the netizens were asking why we need to cut the fur, cut the hair. So we may know the camel in the TV series or in the tourist scenes, but in this county, for tourist purpose, it is not that important. But for camel, they are to offer the economic revenue by the milk of the camel. For 1 kilogram of the milk, it takes about 30 RMB. And on the other hand, we see that the camel fur, camel hair can offer economic income. For each year, we cut the fur for once, about in May, in the the first half of May. And for this camel, the fur is fading, is pulling off. And for the camel's fur to fall off, it is related to the weather. For instance, if by the end of April the weather is warm, the fur will fall off earlier. And now this is a very stubborn camel. It is trying to get rid of the control, even with its legs tied. And for camel's fur, we cut for once each year. Before the summer, in the first half of May, in June and July, as the weather is warming, the fur may fall off. And if the fur falls off, we cannot get the revenue from the fur. Therefore, we need to cut the fur of the camel before June. And we need to find the camels and to cut the furs as quickly as possible. And for each year to cut the fur, it is a nervous time for the camels. The camels are going around as a sign of their nervousness. And in the whole herd, we can see small camels trying to blend in the circle because the large camels, they want to protect the small ones. The small camels are only of the age of 3 to 4 months. So we can see there is a woman, a sister of the Mongol ethnicity, and she will be singing a special song for the occasion of cutting the camel furs. Just now, he has mentioned that for the Mongolian nationality, they are very good at singing, and for the singing and dancing, it is a vivid demonstration of the daily work. So we can see the camel, it is very brave and not so obedient. And for the song you heard, the song came from the daily life and production of the Mongolian ethnicity. And for the lyric, it means that in the grassland we are cutting the fur and we are very happy. That is what the lyric means. It is like a haircut for the human being. So it is a very interesting scene for those of us who have not seen such a thing. Can see that cutting the fur, the hair on their head, it is like a decoration. And on the neck, we have also the fur. So the camel may not be so willing for us to cut the fur, as it may see the fur as an important part of its body and as an important part of its beauty, actually. So on the other hand, I want to show you, on the other side, I go to the other side of the scene, and you can see some of the brothers here. They have trapped a young camel of nearly 1 year of age. So to control the camel, it takes several steps. First, like this brother, he will use a rope to trap the head of the camel, and 2 men can control the camel. The other 2 men will control the leg of this camel. And we can see it takes 3 persons to totally fix and control the camel. The camel is untamed. And to control this camel, it is difficult. We need to hold the ear of the camel to control it, and the other herdsmen need to use a rope to tie the legs. By tying the backward 2 legs, it is hard to move for the camel. And by controlling the legs, we control the camel. It cannot escape. And later on, the herdsmen need to cut the fur as soon as possible. And after the whole process is finished, the camel can run freely once again. And now we need to, are we going to turn around the camel? Yes, we are going to turn it around. We use a rope to tie the camel. We need another rope. So for this camel, although it is younger, but it is more resilient, more untamed. So we can see that this sister, she is grabbing the fur near the hump. So she is using her own hands to grab the fur. So this is also another way, grabbing the fur instead of cutting with the scissors. This is another way of getting and collecting the fur. So to grabbing the fur, will the camel feel the pain? Actually, the movement is very comfortable for the camel, and because in summer it is very hot, so the camel wants to get rid of the fur. Therefore, if we use the hand to grab the fur, it is actually comfortable for the camel. It is another way of collecting the fur. So for the fur of the camel, it is like human hair on other time of the year, but in summer, the fur will fall off, and that is in the nature of the camel, and the fur may become loose. So we can use our hand to grab off the fur. So I want to have a try, so see if I can grab it. Yeah. It is rather easy to grab off the fur. It does not take so much effort. You can see for this camel, it is the first time for me to see we want to grab the fur, and it is even more efficient than using a scissors. May I ask here, you grow up here on the grassland, right? Yeah. So when you were young, you cut the scissors, right? So when I was young, I cut the fur of the camel. The camel was so untamed because the camel does not want to obey human orders. How many camels have you raised? About 100. So for each camel, So how much fur can you get? About 4 kilograms for one camel. And this is smaller, and for a bigger one, so how much fur? About 7 kilograms for a larger camel. So for this household, they raise about 100 camel, and for smaller camel, people can get about 4 kilograms of the camel hair. And for the large camel, people can get 7 kilograms of camel hair. So this is a young camel, a small camel. And for a small camel, it produces about 4 kilograms of camel hair. So now we are introducing how to judge the age of the camel. So we look at the tooth. About 5 years old, we have a rather large tooth growing out. So we are judging the age by looking at the tooth. So he has been sharing with us how to tell the age of the camel, because we can see all the camel look so big. So we need just to look at the tooth of the camel. So with a larger tooth growing out, we can see the larger age. So for such a small camel, it can bring about 4 kilograms of furs. And before the program, I understand that for 1 kilogram of camel hair, it takes about 80 RMB. So for such a small camel, it can produce and generate about 320 RMB of income. And for a large and grown-up camel, the fur may be in the amount of 7 kilograms. And for a large camel, it can generate about 500 RMB of revenue. So for 100 camel, the herdman here can have a revenue of tens of thousands of RMB. So this income is substantial and important for the herdsman's life. So now we have a lot of people here from the Mongolian ethnicity, Mongolian nationality. So in the grassland, we have this habit. For each household, we have a grassland of, say, hundreds of thousands of mu. So it is very difficult for the herdsmen to have a gather-together like we have the convenient chance to live in an apartment or in the city. We can get together very easily. But in the grassland, we have such a feeling that if you run into unfamiliar people, you may not be so cautious, and you may be very happy to run into strange people. And for the people here living on the grassland, they may hug each other and greet each other with great passion. And that kind of thing is different from the people in the city. Because if people live on the grassland, they are more willing to have a get-together with other people. Because, for instance, for such an occasion of cutting the fur, we may need the help of other people. So on the grassland, we may have even more close relationship between different people here. Because such a work, it requires the help of other people. And now we can see this is an instrument, a device to comb off the fur. So this is actually it is like a rake, a comb. So we use it to take off the fur. So now we have this symbol here on the camel, this mark here on the camel to show that the camel belongs to a certain household. So after cutting the fur, we are leaving a mark on the camel. So this camel is very young, and we did not have the mark on the camel. So now we want to make the mark on the camel to show that this camel belongs to a certain household. Therefore, we can tell which camel belongs to which household on the grassland. So now we leave the mark of number 6. 6 is a very good number in China, so you can see here, number 6 belongs to a certain household. So the second mark is to leave on the face. Okay. So from the scene, you may think that this sign is a little bit brutal, but in this locality, it is very common to have such a practice of leaving the mark on the camel. So for camels, they look alike. With a mark, the people here will not mistake their own camel with other households. So now we see that after leaving the mark, so we are ready to let the camel go because we have finished cutting the fur and we have finished leaving the mark. We want to keep the distance because the camel now returned to its herd. After cutting the fur, we see they look very cute. The camel look very cute after we cut the fur. You can see here there is another incident here. One small camel was hit down by big camels, and it cannot stand on its own now. So we are holding this small camel to see the neck was hurt. The neck was kicked by a big camel. And the small camel, it is afraid. It cannot stand on its own. It was scared, actually. The small camel was nervous and it was shivering. So this was a small camel that was just born this year. So for this small camel, it was hit down by a big camel and was kicked by accident by the camel. Now it is very nervous and it is very afraid. The hit may be not so serious, but it is the first time for the small camel to have such an accident. Therefore, it is very afraid. It is only 1 month old. So now we are trying to find a way to help the small camel to stand on its own, to help it to find the confidence to stand. It is getting better. The small camel is so nervous, so you can see from the facial expression, because it is very nervous. You can see people are touching it to calm it down. So to touch the fur of small camel, the fur is shorter. And the camel is just about 1 month old, more than 1 month old. Now it is good. The camel can stand. Okay, it is returning to the herd. So for this small camel, it is nervous and it is hit and kicked by other camels. And for a human being to hold it, it was so nervous. And now it can stand and return to the herd. So now we see the herdman, the brother, was holding the small camel, and the small camel can now return to its relatives and friends. Now we see that another camel is now under control, and we now want to see how to cut the fur for such a big camel. It is a process of utmost coordination for one man to hold the head and the other to hold the back legs. Now we lay down the camel